The scene was tense as my stepmother, Mary, accused me in front of the entire school.
This is the video of John bullying my daughter. What kind of prestigious university graduate is he? He's nothing but a beast.
The entire school was in an uproar, and the school authorities immediately revoked my postgraduate recommendation. I was left defenseless, my reputation in ruins, forced to hide like a rat in the gutter.
In the end, I met a tragic end under a bridge. But when I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day my stepmother caused a scene at school.
Seeing the familiar university auditorium, I realized I had been reborn.
Please, Principal, stand up for us. John is nothing but a beast.
My heart pounded as the same scenario unfolded. I knew what was coming. I had to act differently this time.
Principal, I didn't do these things. Please help me call the police.
The principal, who usually valued me highly, sighed and shook his head but still took out his phone to call the police. A flash of panic crossed Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. She hugged Lily and dramatically collapsed to the ground, flailing her limbs like an octopus, looking like a heartbroken mother driven to madness.
Lily sees you as her real brother, but you ruined her future. How will she face anyone now?
A few of my good friends couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward.
Jane, we know John's character well. He wouldn't do such a thing. Please calm down. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding.
Mary instantly became agitated. She sprang up and pointed at my friend's nose, spitting as she yelled.
This is my daughter, whom I carried for 10 months. How can I calm down? You all live in the same dormitory, right? I bet you're all in cahoots, doing despicable things behind everyone's backs.
I hate to do this, but I have to call the police.
A flash of panic crossed Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure.
Lily sees you as her real brother, but you ruined her future. How will she face anyone now?
A few of my good friends couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward.
Mary, we know John's character well. He wouldn't do such a thing. Please calm down. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding.
Mary instantly became agitated.
This is my daughter, whom I carried for 10 months. How can I calm down? You all live in the same dormitory, right? I bet you're all in cahoots, doing despicable things behind everyone's backs.
My friend gave me a helpless look and retreated into the crowd. This commotion made others who wanted to speak up for me reconsider, as no one wanted to get involved in such a mess. I walked up to my father, Henry, and said firmly,
Dad, I didn't do this. You have to believe me.
His tired eyes flickered, and just as he was about to speak, Mary interrupted with a shriek.
George. If you dare to defend this little beast, I'll end it right here.
I glared at her, but she stomped her feet and clapped her hands, wailing.
What do you mean by that look? Not only did you harm my daughter, but now you want to hurt me too? Go ahead. If you have the guts, do it. I have nothing to lose. My daughter has been humiliated, and I don't want to live anymore.
As she spoke, she raised her hand to hit me, but I grabbed her wrist tightly.
You may not care about your reputation, but Lily still does. By making such baseless accusations, how will Lily live in the future?
She broke free from my grip and spat in my face.
You beast in human clothing. You've done something so horrible, and now you want to turn the tables? Dream on.
The surrounding teachers and students whispered among themselves, most of them looking at me with disdain and contempt. Soon, the police arrived at the scene. Mary immediately knelt on the ground, holding Lily.
Please, officers, help us. This beast harmed my daughter, and now she's lost her mind.
The police quickly helped her up.
Ma'am, please calm down. We can discuss this at the station. Gathering here will disrupt the students' normal activities.
I was an outstanding student who received scholarships every year and won many competition medals for the school. The principal usually valued me highly.
John, I'm really sorry about this, but I have to call the police.
He sighed and shook his head but still took out his phone to call the police. A flash of panic crossed Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure.
Lily sees you as her real brother, but you ruined her future. How will she face anyone now?
She hugged Lily and dramatically collapsed to the ground, flailing her limbs like an octopus, looking like a heartbroken mother driven to madness.
Jane, we know John's character well. He wouldn't do such a thing. Please calm down. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding.
Mary instantly became agitated. She sprang up and pointed at my friend's nose, spitting as she yelled.
This is my daughter, whom I carried for 10 months. How can I calm down? You all live in the same dormitory, right? I bet you're all in cahoots, doing despicable things behind everyone's backs.
Mary leaned helplessly against the wall, sobbing. Lily, with her backpack and red scarf around her neck, was clearly ready for school before Mary forcibly brought her here. Colleagues who knew me made way as I approached. Everyone looked at me with disdain.
He seems so decent. How could he do such a thing?
You don't know, do you? Some people look respectable on the outside but are filthy inside. He might be a psychological deviant.
Exactly, not even sparing a child. He should be dealt with severely.
The voices of the crowd grew louder and more unpleasant. Seeing so many people condemning me, Mary became even more aggressive.
You did this and still won't admit it, even running away from home. Poor Lily wakes up crying every night, while you became a white-collar worker in an office. Heaven is truly unfair.
Lily tugged at my sleeve and said pitifully,
Brother, I was wrong. Please come home with us.
Mary immediately pulled her into her arms.
Lily is still speaking up for you after you treated her like this. Tell me, did you threaten her?
At that moment, someone threw a plastic bottle at my head, hitting my temple painfully. Soon, various trash, bottles, and porridge followed. I dodged around like a drenched rat, looking utterly pathetic. Seeing the situation getting out of control, Michael arrived with security to disperse the crowd.
Wipe yourself off.
He handed me a piece of paper. Mary stepped forward and grabbed Michael's arm.
Are you John's supervisor? Don't you do background checks before hiring? How could you employ someone with a criminal record?
Michael disdainfully shook off her hand.
Our company has a thorough HR system, but I never expected John to have a troublesome stepmother.
Mary, who bullied the weak and feared the strong, immediately quieted down when faced with someone who stood up to her. Seeing Michael's attitude, I was relieved that I might keep my job, but he called me aside and spoke quietly.
Your performance has been excellent, but the company is at a critical juncture and can't afford any negative impact. Although I believe in you, however.
He didn't finish, but I understood the implications. Pressing further would be impolite. As I completed my resignation procedures and left the company building, Mary was still downstairs.
See? Even if the police can't do anything to you, I can still ruin your reputation.
I looked at her belly and smiled instead of getting angry.
Since I've lost my job, I'll go home with you, Aunt Mary.
As soon as I opened the door, an ashtray flew towards me. I dodged, and it hit Mary, who was standing behind me. Henry quickly pushed me aside and held Mary.
Honey, I meant to hit that little brat, but he dodged.
Then he pointed at me and cursed.
You brat! I should have ended you when you were born to save everyone from your misdeeds.
Looking at his furious and ugly face, I felt a chill all over. In both past and present lives, Henry never asked me a single question after the incident, let alone helped clear my name. Only now did I remember what Linda said on her deathbed.
Once you have a stepmother, you no longer have a father.
I didn't come back seeking forgiveness but to take everything Linda left me.
You have 3 days to move out.
Smack, as soon as I finished speaking, Henry slapped me.
You've turned the world upside down. I've never seen a son kick his father out. You are the one who should leave.
In the principal's office, the tension was palpable as the principal took out his phone.
I have to call the authorities.
A flash of panic crossed Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure.
Lily sees you as her real brother, but you ruined her future. How will she face anyone now?
A few of my good friends couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward.
Jane, we know John's character well. He wouldn't do such a thing. Please calm down. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding.
Mary instantly became agitated.
This is my daughter, whom I carried for 10 months. How can I calm down? You all live in the same dormitory, right? I bet you're all in cahoots, doing despicable things behind everyone's backs.
I was an exceptional student, earning scholarships every year and winning numerous competition medals for the school. The principal held me in high regard.
John, I don't want to believe this, but I have to call the police.
A flash of panic crossed Mary's eyes, but she quickly composed herself.
Lily sees you as her real brother, but you ruined her future. How will she face anyone now?
She hugged Lily and collapsed to the ground, flailing her limbs dramatically.
Jane, we know John's character well. He wouldn't do such a thing. Please calm down. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding.
Mary instantly became agitated.
This is my daughter, whom I carried for 10 months. How can I calm down? You all live in the same dormitory, right? I bet you're all in cahoots, doing despicable things behind everyone's backs.
The principal sighed deeply, shaking his head, but still took out his phone to call the police.
A flash of panic crossed her eyes, but she quickly regained her composure.
Hugging Lily and collapsing to the ground, flailing her limbs, Lily sees you as her real brother, but you've ruined her future. How will she face anyone now?
A few of my good friends couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward.
Jane, we know John's character well. He wouldn't do such a thing. Please calm down. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding.
Springing up and pointing at my friend's nose, spitting as she yelled, "This is my daughter, whom I carried for 10 months. How can I calm down? You all live in the same dormitory, right? I bet you're all in cahoots, doing despicable things behind everyone's backs."
I opened Mary's live stream, and rational netizens were already analyzing the situation.
I found it strange that Lily never admitted to being bullied by John. It was always Mary leading the narrative.
If John really did something illegal, why haven't the police intervened?
A malicious stepmother trying to protect her own son incites online abuse and distorts the truth. John is truly unfortunate.
Mindless netizens are being used as tools. My previous comments, which objectively analyzed the facts, were deleted immediately. It's disgusting.
Mary screamed and shut down the live stream. She clutched her stomach and rushed out, looking like she was about to give birth prematurely. At Lily's request, I called 911 to take Mary to the hospital. Mary slapped Lily across the face.
"You ungrateful wretch! I should have sent you away back then."
Henry hurried over and swung his fist at me.
You caused Jane to go into early labor. If anything happens to your brother, I won't let you off.
Lily and I exchanged a glance. We were truly unloved and unfortunate. But none of this mattered anymore. Some people simply don't deserve to be parents. Mary was in labor for an entire day and gave birth to a premature baby boy. Henry held the child in his arms, unable to put him down. As soon as Mary could get out of bed, she hurriedly started a live stream. She looked pale and pitiful in front of the camera.
John used a doctored video to cause my premature labor. Everyone, Don't be fooled by him.
But the netizens, who had already come to their senses, were no longer buying it.
Your daughter has already admitted that John had nothing to do with it, and you're still playing the victim. Get lost.
Return all the gifts we sent you.
You've done too many bad things, and now you're getting what you deserve.
The tables had turned. The pain I endured from online abuse was now returning to Mary tenfold. Her hospital room was filled with chrysanthemums, bloody prank toys, and threatening letters. Meanwhile, the lawsuit I filed against them for illegal occupation of my house hadn't even gone to court yet, and they had already moved out. I then had my lawyer handle the inheritance left by my mother. Henry must have received a court summons by now. After my mother's passing, Henry only knew how to indulge in pleasures, and the family business was on the brink of bankruptcy. Now, all that was left were a few immovable properties and some fixed deposits in the bank. With Mary's live stream income gone, she would surely set her sights on these assets. I would never let my mother's hard-earned legacy fall into the hands of such a woman. At this point, I also learned a shocking secret from Lily. On the day Mary gave birth, amidst the chaos at the hospital, a man wearing a hat was constantly watching us from a corner of the hallway. Only after Mary safely came out of the delivery room did he leave. I later saw the same man at the school gate when I went to pick up Lily. She looked at him with great fear. Under my questioning, she whispered,
"That's my dad."
I was stunned. Henry had married Mary because he thought it was hard for her to raise a child alone after losing her husband. But now it turned out that Mary's ex-husband, David, was still alive? The private investigator I hired soon got back to me. David was a gambler who not only lost all the family's savings but also racked up a huge debt. When Mary met Henry while working at a car wash, she quickly set her sights on him. Over the years, all the money Henry gave Mary went to cover David's debts. Mary and David had always kept in touch, and the investigator even provided photos of them checking into a hotel together. Thinking of Henry holding his newborn son with such affection, I couldn't help but laugh coldly. Some people live for decades without realizing they've been made a fool of. Mary's child didn't resemble Henry at all, but his features were almost identical to David's. I obtained DNA samples from both and sent them for a paternity test. Before the results came back, I heard the child had gone missing.
The child is missing, officer.
There's no need to involve the police over such a small matter. Maybe the nanny just took the child for a bath. Why are you so anxious?
When the police said they could file a case, she completely panicked.
I said there's no need. What are you people doing?
The police, having seen her antics before, ignored her and soon brought back David and the child.
I'm taking my own son. What does it have to do with you? You even called the police on me.
Who are you? Little June is my son.
Ask this woman who her man really is. We agreed to scam this old man out of his money and then get back together. But you two ended up living together? You haven't sent me any money for so long. Are you planning to ditch me now that you've found someone better? I'm telling you, that's not happening.
Mary broke free from his grip and hid behind the police, saying nothing. Henry slumped to the ground, muttering,
Impossible! Absolutely impossible! Little June is my son.
At that moment, I received an email with the paternity test results. I opened it, let out a cold laugh, and handed my phone to Henry.
Dad, you're such a kind soul. You neglect your own son, but help raise someone else's wife, daughter, and son. Bravo, I'll vote for you as one of the most touching people of the year.
Henry and Mary got divorced. I had already obtained the inheritance my mother left me. Mary and David harassed Henry at his doorstep every day, demanding a share of the marital assets. Henry was eventually forced to sell the house. Nearing 60, he had to live alone in a rented apartment, numbing himself with alcohol every day.
I filed a lawsuit against Mary. The evidence I had gathered of her slandering and defaming me, inciting netizens to cyberbully me, and infringing on my rights to reputation and image, all held up in court. The court ordered her to compensate me financially and publicly apologize to me on social media.
Those netizens who had spread rumors about me were also required to write handwritten apology letters. The assets Mary received from Henry were all taken by David to pay off his gambling debts. I heard she asked David for money to pay my compensation, but he beat her up all night in a drunken rage. Mary tried to live-stream her plight, crying about domestic violence, but the video was taken down within minutes, and her account was permanently banned from all major platforms. Only I knew that this time she wasn't faking it, but truly suffering. But what did it matter? She had to pay for the wrongs she had done. In this life, it wasn't me living in the gutter, but her. With everything finally settled, I focused on my exams and successfully became a graduate student. On graduation day, Henry came to the school. His hair was completely white, and he looked 10 years older. Years of heavy drinking had left him unsteady on his feet.
John, I've always known you would achieve great things. Dad is old now. You won't abandon me, will you?
Of course, I'll take care of you. Didn't the court rule that I should give you $500 a month once I start working?
Not far away, Lily, with her braided hair, ran towards me with a smile.
Brother, congratulations on your graduation.
I picked her up and walked away step by step. Our bright future was just beginning.